expert in the field of effective communication and body language, to speak with us today. Of Humanities and Social Sciences, which Pilani. Professor Lata is our only passionate teacher known for interactive and engaging pedagogy, but also well-respected researcher who has published numerous papers and articles on the subject. Over the course of her career, Professor Lata has conducted countless workshops and training programs on variety of topics, from group discussion and job interviews to innovative strategies and soft skills. Today, she will be sharing us with some of her valuable insights and techniques for mastering the art of public speaking. So without further ado, let's give a warm welcome Professor Pushpalata. But before we hand it over to her, please make sure that you turn off your audio and video and type your question in chat box, and which will be addressed in the Q&A session. Also, don't forget to keep an eye for the feedback form that we will be providing during the sessions. Thank you. Ma'am, now you can take it.
Okay. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Before we go ahead this webinar workshop on effective public speaking and body language, I would just like to say something what Daniel Webster said. Daniel Webster was one of the key speak effectively. And wherever we speak, we should be able to make a mark, because this is something which will make us really successful and powerful in wherever we are working and wherever we are presenting ourselves as part of our organization. So without further delay, I think we will try to talk about this topic in greater detail. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make it a little more interactive. I would request you to type your answers in the chat box, and I would request Bhushan to help me whatever answers we get for, the questions which you have answered just in maybe one word or two words at times. And then, because now I'm sharing my slides, so I won't be able to see them. Will that be fine, Bhushan? Okay. Another thing is that so before we move on, I would like to ask all of you, how do we communicate? Yes, quick answers, whether in writing or orally, what way do we communicate? Yes. Bhushan? Could we get some answers?
Himalaya said through orally, through communication, through languages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. We try to communicate orally, in writing, we write emails, we write reports, Yes, please. Hope my voice is audible.
Yes, ma'am, you can go ahead.
Okay. So we have various ways to communicate. And how is communication different from talking? Any idea? So what do when we try to talk to people? We just talk at random without thinking that whether they have understood or not. But when it comes to communication, we always try to see that maybe we want to talk about the future project that we are planning to take up. So whatever it is, we want to share our thoughts and ideas and plans and feelings, and we do it in such a way that the other party also gets to know and they understand us fully. So when we communicate, we are communicating verbally, that means orally and in writing. Also non-verbally, where we include body language, paralinguistic features and distance. Now, does it mean that all the communication that takes place is always successful? It may not be so. So let us see. Here we have a very small video which talks about it, that how communication can be unsuccessful or can be successful. This is a very small video of 1.5 minutes. I'm playing this for you. Yes. So, what is the message that we get from this video? That all the other three animals also wanted their names to be taken off from the list. But what they were saying that, am I on the list? They say yes, and immediately they were eaten up. But when rabbit came, he was smarter, and he says that, am I on the list? Yes. Can you take me off from the list? Yes. So what happens? He is able to save. Now you see that if our communication is precise at the right place and at the right time, it guarantees us success. So hope this small video must have really helped you in understanding the importance of communication. Yeah. Now, most of the time, this confusion starts in our minds that, whenever we talk about essentials of successful communication, what should be the percentage, what way we should try to prepare for our contents, and how much preparation should we do for our, the way we deliver in front of our audience. There is a Mehrabian model, and that model is 7-38-55% rule. Now here, 7%, but 38% it comes from the kind of voice, pauses, articulation, pronunciation. All these vocal elements are used, and remaining 55% it comes from the body language, where we have posture, gestures, facial expressions, eye contact, personal appearance. Now the question comes that when it is 55% and the voice and tone is 38%, so why to bother about this 7% of the spoken words? No, my dear friends, we need to take care of the 7% because of the 7%, we have the remaining 93%. So the 7% cannot be, cannot be substituted by 93%, but 7% can be easily reinforced and supplemented by the remaining 93% for the success of your presentation or your speech. So before we talk about this public speaking, I thought it's very important for us to understand that these three things are very important, and we should know that each one of them are how much important they are, but how they supplement each other or reinforce each other. Now the question comes when we talk about effective public speaking. What is the power of public speaking? How public speaking equips a person, a professional, a doctor, a life sciences scientist? What is that the person who is empowered with effective public speaking will get? So as all of you know that you will have win-win situation when it comes to your relationships. You will be able to convey the kind of value system you have, the kind of value system your organization has. So if you are a good public speaker, you will be always able to point out that. Also, you will have better relationships with your customer because you understand your customer. What do they want? What are their expectations? And how you can convince them. Because when you have the power of public speaking, you can always persuade them. You can always change their mindset if they are thinking in some other way. You can make them believe the way you want them to believe. So this is the power of public speaking. You can always convey your loyalty as well. So when we talk about power of public speaking, we find when we look around different types of professionals and colleagues of ours, or maybe people who are working in some other companies, or even in our academic arena, we will find that there are people who are outstanding in their performance, who are known for their work. There are people who are excellent. There are people who are satisfactory, but there are people who are below average also. When we try to empower ourselves with good public speaking skills, we always will find that we will, because we have better visibility as compared to others, people will trust us. We will have credibility in our organization. Even in our academic arena, people will trust when they give us the task. So this is how we find that if we want to escalate in our organization, if we want to improve our performance, then of course we should really value public speaking skills and we should acquire it. Now, another thing, which should convince us that how communication skills are important, I thought I'll show you this video, which was.
So Rudra says that the ones who is able to convey the message precisely. Alice says by whom there is no loss of information happens. Vaishnavi says that a person who is able to express his views through body as well as body language. Juhi says a person with confidence.
Person with confidence. Very good. I'm really happy that you have come up with. Could you just name a few renowned public speakers? Yes, let us know. A few renowned public speakers.
Narendra Modi.
Okay. Yes.
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates. Okay. Shashi Tharoor.
Gaur Gopal Das.
Okay, Gaur Gopal Das. Absolutely. Yes.
Shashi Tharoor.
Yes. Shashi Tharoor.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, you can say Mahatma Gandhi, even Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, even you can say Barack Obama. You have plenty of names actually. If you look at the, it is endless. You can talk about that. Now, so how effectively do you communicate? How do you decide upon this? So you decide the moment somebody raises the eyebrows, the moment somebody fails to understand what you have said. Have you communicated effectively? No. So now in the coming 10 minutes, we are going to talk about that, how we need to do this and what is that is required for good communication, effective communication. So one thing is very clear that good communication will be always in the shared context where both the communicators or both the parties, they are able to understand each other, what they are trying to share, what they are trying to project in terms of business, in terms of messages, in terms of ideas, in terms of plans. So words that I choose to use to share my understanding with you. If it is, the message received is as message sent, you will find the communication is really successful. Now, what are we trying to do? When we communicate, we want to share. So what you need to become? You need to become a good public speaker. You need to be an attentive listener. You need to be a capable reader and an effective writer. So because the workshop is on effective public speaking skills and body language, I will not touch upon the fourth one, but I would surely like to touch upon the first three. Good speaking skills, effective listening skills, and how to become good readers. So effective reading skills. So these three will be our focus today. Now, good speaker. Whom do you regard as a good speaker? Now, you have just taken a few names like Barack Obama, Shashi Tharoor, Narendra Modi. You have Sudha Murthy. You have, let's say, you have let's say Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. You have so many other people, whom you feel like listening to because of their ideas. We can take a lot of foreign speakers as well, but right now thinking that students are, from all types of colleges, I'm taking all whatever, you know, everybody knows about. So attributes of a good speaker. As you said, that one should be very confident while speaking. Then body language has to be effective. What comes under body language? Facial expression, gesture, posture, eye contact. All these come under body language. Posture, body movement. When you talk about sitting posture and standing posture, then facial expressions, it's very important to understand. Face is the index of mind. If you have appropriate facial expressions, they will convey, they will exude your confidence. They will exhibit the confidence level that you have, the conviction that you have. But if you have a very crowded kind of facial expression, that will show your doubt. That will show that you lack in conviction. So facial expressions are very important when you want to emerge as a good speaker. Gestures also are very important because we need to understand our face, our hands. They help in gesticulating the right kind of messages. When I'm just trying to fling my hand and I try to say that, okay, the market that you are asking me, that is quite far off. So my hand talks about that it's at a considerable distance. So this is a gesture, locative gesture, which we are using. Eye contact, it's very important. With the help of slides, we'll try to understand in detail about these. Yes. What is it? Just one or two answers, if I can get. Mr. Bean. And what kind of facial expression the Mr. Bean has? Very loud in terms of, he's strong. This kind of a facial expression in our professional life, when we are speaking at a public platform, we cannot do that. So we need to see that our facial expressions should be graceful. We should try to communicate that what we are trying to convey. If the message is quite solemn, we should convey that with all, grace and with all solemnity in our tone and voice. If we are sharing something which is very, where we are sharing some joyful message, then of course our facial expression could be, where we have very pleasant and maybe elated kind of facial expressions. So it's very important to have our facial expressions in consonance with the kind of message that we are delivering. So if there is an incongruity between what you are saying and what gets reflected on your face, people are going to believe what gets reflected on your face, but not what you are saying. If you say that you are very confident, but when when people look at your face and they find that, you have a perspiration on your face, or, your eyes are, moving very fast, and you have the facial expression where you have, your eyes are fidgety. So in that case, your audience will easily get to know that you perhaps lack in confidence. So it's very important for all of us to understand that when we want to become good communicator, effective public speakers, we should work on our facial expressions. Yes, look at this image. Now, there are two ladies who are talking to their boss. The lady in the red top and the lady in the off-white top, you can see their facial, how they are making the eye contact. So you need to take care of that. And, when you are knitting your hands right in the front, that shows you are introvert. Would you like to be sound like an introvert? I don't think so. You would always like that you should, when you are communicating with the others, People should take you as a confident person. People should take you that you mean your business. People should take you that you are really serious about your work, and they should get the feeling that you know what is that, what business you will be transacting. So you know about your professional commitments. So it is said that you should maintain a business-like walk, because in the professional world, it matters the way you carry yourself. All these tips, my dear friends, will help you even in your placements also. Now, here, most of the time, we have, students, they ask me questions that what should be our standing posture? If you look at, I'm moving from my left to my right. So the left one sway back. The person is trying to move away from the other person. So then this is going to make other people also uncomfortable, because when you are swaying, you are unnecessarily creating a little more distance and your chin goes up, which is not a very comfortable posture. Then the second one, you can see that this is called lordosis posture. Here, the person is trying too hard to, put the chest out. And what happens? It makes the posture really stiff. So it becomes really difficult. When the speaker or, when you as a communicator are maintaining a posture which is quite stiff, which is very, stressed, then certainly you will find your audience, your listener who is sitting in front of you or maybe standing in front of you will also feel little uncomfortable in your company. Similarly, there is one kyphosis, which is slumping. And here, what speakers normally do, they try to, put their because they have a sense of insecurity. As a result of that, their back goes little out, and they, come little. Their face comes little forward. So this is also not a very good posture. This shows that a person has, is feeling insecure inside. And this kind of a person, you will find it becomes really difficult to explain, to have a fair discussion, or to discuss about the pros and cons, because the person is so insecure. There is a possibility, in order to belabor his or her point, that the person may on insisting on whatever the person is himself or herself saying. So in that situation, it becomes really difficult for you to communicate. So we should not be doing this, and we should immediately be able to read the body language, that how the other person is feeling insecure, and you should know how to then strategize your communication style. Then this, forward head style also, what you do, you just try to move a little more in front. So what happens with this? The distance between you and the other person gets rather squeezed. It gets skewed, and it becomes really uncomfortable for the other person, because this is an invasion into the personal territory of the person. So this is how we need to be very careful with our posture when it comes to standing posture. And the last one, that is on the right hand side, it's the good posture. Can you tell me why? Yes. How can we say this last one, this fifth one, is the right posture? You will be going for negotiations. You will be representing your organization. You will be delivering the presentations. You will be standing. So,
Himalaya says that good eye contact, more approachable.
Okay, fine. That comes from the eye contact, but very good attempt. Just try to look at this image very carefully. What is happening here? You see that the person has the complete body weight on his feet, and that makes him, that allows him to have perfect control on his body movement on himself. and the shoulders are also up. So that shows that the person is really confident. So a good standing posture will help you to, walk very confidently and to have the control of your body weight when you are walking. Now coming to shake hand. Now, I would like you to answer which of the handshakes you find is okay. The first one or the second one? Or both are correct? Or both are incorrect? Yes?
Second one.
Very good. Second one is correct, because it is, it is said that risk to your palm should be, in other palm, and it should be confident. It should hold properly, which we find in the second one. In the first, in fact, the person on the right hand side, while shaking in the first image, it has almost squeezed the palm of the person. So there is this is called the neck breaking kind of handshake. So we should not have neck breaking, bone breaking kind of handshake. I'm sorry, bone breaking. So hand is, you do not have proper strength in your hand and you are nervous. And when you just extend your palm for handshake, there it is very loose. So never ever have thick kind of handshake. So now coming to the attributes of a good speaker. We need to have good space distancing, because all of us have territory. If I'm sitting here, I have a territory and I should not cross that territory. If I'm standing as a speaker, I have a territory. If I have taken charge of the lectern, the way, here you can see the speaker. The lectern gives you the territory. So we need to see that how much space I can have, from my audience. If I'm sitting and I'm talking in my office where, I receive a guest, this entire setting that tells that how much space we can maintain. So space distancing is also very important. Effective use of voice. We always require paralinguistic features. I told you that good pronunciation is a marvelous addition to your, to your delivery. It enhances your beauty. Similarly, use of pauses. Similarly, use of articulation. That is going to help you. Volume. The question comes, how much volume should we maintain? Now, if we are, talking with a group of 7 people, and at other place we are talking to a group of 20 people, the volume will change. And pitch and volume, then it is not going to really help us. As speakers, we should know that I should be able to reach those 20 people who are there. If I do not have microphone, I should increase my volume so that I am audible to all my audience. Similarly, if you are addressing to 200 people, your voice will not reach. So you should look for the right kind of microphone. If it is there, you should check it whether it is working properly or not before you start delivering your speeches. Rate. What should be the rate? I can go very fast right now, but I know that it's very difficult when you are not physically present in a face-to-face situation, and if you go very fast, the rapport gets broken. So I'm using intermittently a few questions also to get my audience. So the rate should be, what is rate? Rate is the number of words that are uttered per minute by a speaker. So normally it is said that 70 to 80 words per minute we use. So, and if there are, good public speakers, because normally the speeches are well rehearsed beforehand. So it may, it may be around 120 words per minute. So you have to see that 50 to 60 words per minute will be very slow, and if it depends on the situation, but otherwise, on an average, for a good public speaking situation, it will be around 120 words. Voice modulation. If you go on the same pitch, then you will sound very boring and dull to your audience, and they will look forward to, at the earliest situation, at the earliest possibility, they will start speaking to the next person who's sitting, and they will start talking about something, where they could have common interest. So voice modulation is something which helps you in holding the attention of your audience, because when you are bringing rises and falls in your voice, when you bring variations in the pitch pattern, that really helps your audience to get hooked to what you are saying. Otherwise, you will have people in front of you, but you will lose your audience. So you need to take care of voice modulation. Pronunciation, there is RP pronunciation, that is called received pronunciation, which is British accent, and there is American accent. Let me tell you that you don't have to be native-like speakers. Not really. This is really, unjustified. We always say earlier, let me tell you, till 1980s, it was considered that English language students, they should try to acquire either the British type of accent or American type of accent. But later on, a lot of researches were done, and it was, established that, a foreign languages is spoken by people of a specific geographical area. It is but natural to have some, mother tongue influence. But the point is, then what is good pronunciation? Good pronunciation is which is legible, which makes the people of all the types of linguistic backgrounds to understand you. If they are able to understand what you are speaking in English language, that is good pronunciation. So for this, what should we do? We should try to see what is the correct pronunciation of the word. If we don't know something, we should practice it. And what happens when we are practicing, at least we are not using the pronunciation which is unknown, which is unacceptable for that particular word. So whenever you are preparing these speeches, whenever you, go for a business meeting and there are certain technical words in your document, try to practice the pronunciation of those words. Articulation, for articulation, we need to remember one thing. There are people who speak very fast. They become, you must have heard Amitabh Bachchan, or you must have heard, A.R. Rahman while singing breathless songs. Like, we don't need to be that. Amitabh Bachchan is an actor, and A.R. Rahman is a singer. According to the situation, they have done that. It's all fine, but as public speaker, we cannot do that. Our words, they should not, run into each other. We should have clear, distinct articulation, so that whatever we are speaking should be legible and understandable enough for our audience. We should not have sloppy articulation or slurry articulation. So now, what we can have? We need to have well-timed pauses. If we are not using the well-timed pauses, Mark Twain says that if a speaker does not use well-timed pauses, then it is worse than using 100 words. So a well-timed pause serves its purpose best in order to communicate your messages. If it is, as I said, well-timed. So wrongly timed or unnecessarily long silences. Those are not pauses. Pauses should be brief and well timed. Vocalized pauses. You must have heard, some of your friends or maybe some strangers speaking and then all okay, yes, no, okay, okay. So they try to use fillers, and these fillers, they do not add any meaning to your message. So what should we do? We should, if we have in our delivery, if we have in our presentation, we should always try to get rid of them because they do not add any valuable meaning to your message. So avoid using vocalized pauses. Do not try to repeat the expressions time and again. They make your deliveries, presentations very boring for your audience. You should be aware about proxemics, that is the space distancing, and also haptics, the touch. Touch also has its own language. The moment you put a hand on the back of your friend and try to convey your sympathies or condolences, or maybe you try to convey the message that I'm with you in the time of in this in this time of adversity. So what you are trying to do is you are trying to use haptics there. Use of the language of touch you are using. Accuracy. See, whenever you are using words, try to use them accurately. Try to place them appropriately. That is very important. Clarity you need to have in your messages, and also you need to have effective verbal imagery. As a speaker, try to provide, analogies where your audience, they can easily understand what you're trying to convey. Are we good listeners? See, when you want to become a good public speaker, you should listen to the people who are, great speakers. So what will happen when you're listening to them? Then you are able to see that what way they are crafting their messages. Because when for example, if you are listening to J.K. Rowling's Stanford speech, so when you are listening, you are able to appreciate the way the person uses the diction, uses the opening, tries to catch the attention of the audience. And also you are able to see that how the speaker is trying to develop the entire idea. And then how the person is trying to use the audience relevance link. Because it's important to involve the audience in the discussion. So that if it is 40 minutes long or if it is 1 hour long, it becomes really cumbersome for the listeners to listen to you. So you need to make use of interjections. You need to make use of questions. You need to make use of where they can find themselves when you are talking. So we need to see that we should be good listeners. So we should always ask ourselves, are we good listeners? How do we become an attentive listener? That's very important. So what should we do for this? Because we are talking about effective public speaking. So if you want to become a good public speaker, you should be mindful of the listening. When you listen to others, you should be in the moment, and you should not allow yourself to get distracted by the distractions present in the environment. For example, right now this fan is switched on, so its voice, it should not disturb me when I am speaking to you. If there is some kind of noise outside my chamber because a few students are working on their apogee project, I should not get distracted by that if I'm listening to something. So this is how, as a listener, I need to be mindful of what I'm listening to. If I'm listening to J.K. Rowling's speech, or if I'm listening to Barack Obama's speech, if I'm listening to Narendra Modi's speech, I need to be mindful of what I'm following, what I'm trying to understand. In fact, I would like to quote what Rebecca Sharif has said in one of her in one of her articles. She has shared that average person can remember only 25% of what someone has said. after a few minutes of the conversation. So if you are not mindful, if you are not listening attentively to the other person, you can see that even 25% also you will not be able to retain. So the goal of mindful listening is to silence whatever the internal noise you have. You need to silence your own thoughts and listen to the person objectively. You can have your cognitive interplay, that's a different thing. But if your internal noise is what you want to say after the person finishes, that means your internal noise is distracting you from the message that is being communicated. And if you listen attentively, you will become a very good speaker because you are listening to the great speakers. You are listening attentively. When you reply, it will be aptly. Excuse me. I'll have to. Gen of listening, it says that you should try to retain the information that you have received while listening. So when you are listening to good speakers, when you listen to the TED Talks, when you listen to the great speeches, when you listen to the, even in the movies, you find that, you find the, who is there? Can you just tell me? What speeches do you find in the movies? Charlie Chaplin's speeches, right? There are many more you will find speeches in the, sometimes even in the web series also. If you see, I think in Breaking Bad also we find, I don't remember exactly, but because I don't watch many, but I can tell you that, in speeches you find that there is an integration of very good, extracts of these speeches. When you are listening to them, you are able to retain Dead Poets Society, Dead Poets Society, that movie is there, and there are wonderful, brief speeches by great speakers are there. Pause before you speak so that you can consider the effect of the words. So, you are listening to the other person. The other person has shared some information or might have communicated something very important. Just, wait and try to see that where the words are taking, in what direction, and then you decide that what way you should be replying or asking the questions. You should pay attention for a longer span. We should develop that habit, boost our self-confidence. And they listen to it. The moment it becomes complex, the moment it becomes slightly, not familiar, they start developing some kind of alienation, because somewhere down the line they think that, okay, we cannot really listen to this. It's going to be really complex. It's going to be really difficult. So you need to boost your own self-confidence also when you are listening, that no issues. I haven't, heard anything on this topic, or maybe the information that is being shared, I don't know, but I can understand I'll be able to make out what is being said. So you need to boost your self-esteem also. It's very important. I have found people, they are very knowledgeable, but because of low self-esteem, they are not able to speak well, or sometimes, they do not take initiatives. Whereas, they could be the best people to, take up those kinds of assignments, but they always, pull themselves back because they do not have the self-esteem. So for listening also, I suggest that you should have the self-esteem. So mindful listening can potentially have less physical and psychological benefits that we have discussed. Becoming an attentive listener requires you to overcome your distractions and overcome your barriers. If you have any that is going to be difficult, I cannot understand, all those negative self-talk, you need to overcome that. Overcome your obsession with the mobile phones. Time and again you are picking up the mobile phone and then looking at what message have you received and trying to reply. So if you think that you are listening to the other person's message, No. So you need to give undivided attention where it should not be hearing, it should be listening. You are listening means you are trying to use your cognitive ability to make sense out of the message that is being given, because you are critically analyzing it as well. Use technology to your advantage. If you want, suppose you think that, okay, you need to pay more attention, you can use your headphones. That will be the best idea. Concentrate and feel involved. Whenever you listen to such speeches, because you want to improve your public speaking skills, I suggest that concentrate and feel involved. So what will happen, that whether you are listening to a very complicated kind of speech, or whether it is something which is slightly you might not be aware, but you will find that you will be able to make sense out of whatever is being said. So your involvement is going to help you to become an attentive listener. You should try to anticipate the idea. I said that you should not be you should not hear, you should listen. And listening requires your participation. Listening is always active. Listening is always attentive. So when you are listening to the ideas, you can always anticipate what could be the next idea. And develop interest, that is always required. If you develop your interest, you will find that very quickly you will remember, and you will acquire the kind of vocabulary, expressions, and the ways of saying things which will suit to different purposes, and you will find that you have become a very good learner. So that is automatically going to help you become a good speaker as well. So you need to be a good reader. Now, how to become a good reader? I would just try to give you a few tips. Try to be as inquisitive as possible. You should have a few books in your rack which give you, some kind of knowledge or boosting, or, some kind of mindfulness or direction, I'd say, other than your discipline books. Because, if you're using just your discipline books and not reading anything else, in day-to-day conversations, when you the times of socialization, or in times of informal discussion at in the professional arena also, you will feel yourself misfit. So if you are inquisitive, you are trying to know your field, but at the same time, you are trying to read something else as well. So you should be doing that. See, reading is an opportunity to know the world around you, to know about yourself, to know about the things you are interested in. So those are the opportunities. And every day you should be excited to read something or the other. Enjoy the expedition. This is kind of an expedition. If you don't want to know, for example, here is the image of the book, Think and Grow Rich. You should, if you want to complete this in 1 week, take it as an expedition and then enjoy it and try to know, okay, what the author is trying to say. So these ideas you can always use when you are going to give the public speeches. Explore, learn, and grow. Then you should always regard this, books, magazines, journals as a treasure. You should always have a few on your table, a few in your book rack, so that, and pick them up while you, if you don't get time, otherwise you can always pick up one and read when you go to bed. Focus on the message, beginning, ending, and linkers. That's very important, because if you focus on the message, you're getting ideas. If you are focusing on the beginning, you are trying to understand how can I grab the attention of my audience when I deliver such kind of a speech. If I have to end, how am I going to put a close to my speech? Linkers, they help you in, getting to know how you can connect the various ideas. Use intensive and close reading. That will really help you. So, to conclude what I have talked about, because I know that you will be employed in big companies. Maybe some of you will work for Pfizer or Cipla or Johnson & Johnson, or maybe Renpaxi, whatever, because if you go by your discipline choice, I'm very sure you will find the situations or occasions where you will be addressing, big gathering skills. I'm very sure that is going to, add a feather in your cap. You will feel yourself confident, and you will be successful as a professional, have better visibility in your organization. So I have tried to make you understand that how